Out of nowhere, the sound of 5 to 8 gunshots cut through the murmurs of the crowded ballroom. Immediately, Secret Service agents began shouting, "Out of the way, sir," trying to clear a path. President Donald Trump, who was waiting to address the room, was suddenly surrounded by his security detail and forcefully evacuated from the stage. To understand how this happened, we have to look at the 10 minutes leading up to the gunfire. Before the panic, this room felt entirely secure. Looking at this photograph of the Washington Hilton's banquet hall, you can see the environment. Hundreds of journalists, celebrities, and cabinet members were gathered here for the White House Correspondents Dinner, enjoying a spring pea and burrata salad. The head table was packed with high-level dignitaries, including First Lady Melania Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance, pictured here. But that feeling of safety was fragile. While the ballroom itself had tight security, the Hilton hosting the event remained open to regular guests. Anyone could walk into the building with little to no screening. That vulnerability became obvious when security officers suddenly burst into the room, shouting for some of the most powerful people in Washington to duck under their dinner tables. In a matter of seconds, an exclusive gathering of the Washington elite had collapsed into the center of a potential mass casualty event involving the entire U.S. leadership. The cause of the panic wasn't inside the ballroom, but right outside in the lobby. An armed suspect had launched a targeted assault. Tracking the hotel's layout, the suspect exploited the unsecure main entrance. He walked straight through the public hallways, heading directly for the dining room. Presidential perimeters use concentric rings of defense. The suspect finally hit a hardline Secret Service checkpoint before the ballroom doors. It was at this exact choke point that police intercepted him, and the suspect opened fire. A Secret Service agent was injured in the exchange, but they managed to tackle the shooter to the ground. He was quickly pinned to the floor, shirtless, with his hands tied behind his back. In the immediate confusion, early reports from CNN mistakenly claimed the suspect had been shot and killed by the Secret Service. He was actually taken into custody alive. The survival of the president and his cabinet didn't rely on thick walls or complex technology. It came down to a single agent at a final doorway, putting their body in the line of fire. The physical response was immediate. National Guard personnel, seen here patrolling the venue, were deployed to lock down the building. Guests were eventually allowed to leave, but no one was permitted back inside. The suspect is now facing severe legal consequences. U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, announced charges for using a firearm during a crime of violence and assaulting a federal officer. According to her assessment, the shooter fully intended to cause maximum damage. The only thing preventing a massacre was that final checkpoint functioning as designed. Even with a crime scene right outside his dining room, President Trump took to Truth Social, posting images of the suspect and praising law enforcement. He urged everyone to let the show go on, though he acknowledged the evening would have to be repeated at a later date. Trump's resilience couldn't hide the reality of the breach. The fact that an armed suspect reached the inner lobby forced a harsh recalculation of what it takes to keep the nation's leadership safe and public. This confrontation at the Hilton stands as the third assassination attempt against Donald Trump, placing the night's chaos into a broader sequence of political violence. The pattern started back in July 2024. As this photo shows, Trump was speaking to a massive crowd at an open-air campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. A 20-year-old gunman positioned himself on a nearby rooftop and fired, grazing the candidate's ear and killing a bystander, before a sniper took him out. We went from a rooftop sniper at an open rally to a gunman breaching the perimeter of his private golf course, pictured here, and now to a heavily armed frontal assault in the middle of Washington, D.C. Shooters are finding ways to bypass security at open-air rallies, sprawling private clubs, and now heavily guarded galas. The chilling question left hanging over the country is whether a sitting or future president can ever be truly safe.